morning. I'm Kim Sydow Campbell. Welcome to Fix This Writing. I started too early. I was too
Because you're
excited to
so
be here.
eager. Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Leslie, you want to introduce yourself?
I would be so happy. And then you can introduce yourself for reals. I'm Leslie O'Flahaven. I'm Kim's partner in Fix This Writing, a monthly LinkedIn Live broadcast that shows you how to fix this writing. My company is called eWrite. We are a writing, training, and consulting company, and I'm coming to you today from the Washington, D.C. area. Ms. Kim, will you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Kim Sydow Campbell. I am a professor. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now. Been at several different universities over the years. The one common interest that Leslie and I have found over many years now is playing language, especially in writing. And so that's part of what spurred us to start this broadcast. And that's what we're going to do today is talk about fixing some writing by
Yes,
being more
indeed.
plain.
That's right. Absolutely. So we are glad to have you joining us, and we want to invite you to make any comments that come to mind on our samples, on our fixes for the samples, or to raise questions about your own challenges as a writer. If something that we show today inspires a question in you, please ask it. Pop it into the comments. If something that we show you inspires a question that's a little bit off topic, we welcome those also. We want to know what kind of writing fixes you need, what's on your mind, how are you striving to be a better writer these days. So I'm checking the comments, Kim. It doesn't look like anybody has weighed in just yet. I hope they
Okay.
will be chatting in to let us know what they think.
Yeah.
And
So too.
before I show the sample, would you like to tell the story of where you found this writing sample?
Absolutely. It is real. It is, I was not either the writer or the recipient,
Mm-hmm.
um, but without disclosing too much, a parent, an adult child needed to rent a car to go to a family event, and the parent paid for it. And so they're the ones who made the reservation. And when the adult child went to pick up the car, um, it was not a good scene. It was many hours of frustration because they would not allow her to have the car, even though they talked to the parent who had made the reservation on the phone. So
Okay.
this email came after this event, um, and I'll let the audience decide what you think the point of the message was, because I don't.
Once,
Yeah, I'm not sure it's clear.
okay. All
We
right. Very good.
we have
So
we have
look
some
who,
people. There's Starshine.
yes, hi,
Hello.
hi, Starshine. Great to see you. And Bashir has joined us. Thank you for joining us, Bashir. And Kim, I'm really glad that you mentioned uh, the situation for this, because I honestly, I don't know what the restrictions on renting cars are in other parts of the world. We often have people who join us
Right,
from far, far away from
right.
the US. And of course, I think many car rental companies here in the US won't rent to a person who's under 25.
Mhm.
And of course, that person is perfectly equipped to drive a
Right,
car, but may
right,
need an adult parent's permission
right.
or signature to rent the car.
And in
Okay.
this case, she was actually over 25. It's just that he paid, and so
Oh,
the reservation appeared in his name instead of her name and her
okay.
driver's license. So that was the complication.
Okay, here we go. So look who's joining. Starshine, whom I know and am very fond of. Starshine, you are on the west coast of the US. Bashir, where are you joining us from? And Rena's joining us from Florida. And hey, Rena, thank you so much for sharing this event on LinkedIn. You helped us get the word out, and I do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So
Welcome.
we're about to show this sample that Kim and I have been talking about. And as you know, our question flow follows a similar pattern each time we meet for Fix This Writing. We start
Right.
out with, why does this writing need to be fixed? So before I share this sample, let's see who else has joined us. We have
Mary.
Mary joining us from San Diego. Hey, Mary. And we have a question: how would you convince scientists and engineers the use of plain language is not a threat to their professionalism?
Uh,
OMG, our favorite question ever. We will
it
be
is.
back to that question.
We will.
We were going to start out with Kim's fix this writing sample, and then I promise you we are coming back to that question that
Yep.
is at the core of the work both of us do.
Yes.
Yes, right. So here we go. Here we go.
All
All
right.
right. I'm
As
gonna
Leslie shows this sample, what I would like for you all to do is scan it as quickly as you can and think about what the purpose of sending this email would be in the situation I talked about. So, why would somebody from the rental car company send this message?
okay.
All right, I'm hoping. Hi, we have more folks joining. That's great. We're glad you're here. Um, Someone from Nigeria.
That's
Oh, Bashir is
Bashir.
from.
Right,
Yeah,
Bashir. Thank
awesome,
you.
awesome.
Kim, could you state your question one more time? I think that I'm going to
Absolutely.
make a banner of it so people can see it.
Okay.
Go
I'm
ahead.
very curious to know what our audience thinks the purpose was for writing this email. So there was this, situation in which the customer didn't feel that they were served the way they should have been. And then somebody at the company later sends an email to the customer. So why would they send that?
Okay. And let's see.
I
Starshine
agree
says,
with Starshine. Oof.
oof,
Yeah.
that's bad, right?
It is. I agree it's bad.
She
And I
or
didn't doctor this up in any way except for removing names.
Okay, so anyone who's joining us, can you come up with an answer to Kim's question? What was the rental car company's purpose for writing this email? I'll watch the comments.
Okay, good.
What was their purpose for writing this email?
The
You
reason
really you
the
foiled them.
reason this is yeah, well, the reason that I'm asking this is because it matters totally. Okay, somebody tells us looks like a non-apology apology overseen by a lawyer. That's terrific. Yeah, okay. So there is a sense this is supposed to be an apology. I mean, I think that's what it's supposed to be because the beginning does say allow us to apologize.
Mhm.
Starshine says CYA. Yeah, that might be it too.
Mhm.
Um, and the reasons that I think that we're questioning if it really is an apology is because it doesn't meet the criteria for an apology. It has some of the right words in it, like allow us to apologize and I am sorry. As a goodwill gesture, we provided you with a voucher. So those are often used in real apologies, but there are at least a couple of issues with this one, right?
Okay.
So if the goal of sending this is to apologize so that the customer comes back, does business with them again, right? I'm assuming that's the goal.
Mhm.
If that's the goal, can we agree it fails?
Yes, right. Yes. Well, actually, as a I
Yeah,
agree that this fails. I think when I read this, the diction is so inflated that even if the intent were sincere, the word choice is so ridiculous and so unfamiliar to contemporary discourse that it's
right.
hard to believe that it's sincere.
Yeah.
The idea from the company's standpoint, I think I know why they have done all this. A
Okay.
goodwill gesture of a $100 voucher in the company's esteem, it's a substantial gesture.
Right.
Companies also believe that customers don't care as much about the apology as the voucher. That's
Yes.
one of their first mistakes is they
Yeah.
don't
That's
think
a biggie.
the words matter in the apology. They think that the refund matters most.
Right.
Mhm.
So what I would say in parallel to that is if your significant other has hurt you in some deep way and they come home to you with a bunch of roses and that's it, I don't think that's going to cut it.
Mhm.
The roses are nice,
Mhm.
but somebody says the three R's: show remorse, take responsibility, make repair.
Mhm.
So yeah, the difficulty here I think is in the taking responsibility most. Um,
Mhm. And
so
re
is this, do you think it's common to see these kinds of messages? That's one of our questions. It seems pretty obvious that we do um, need to fix this, but I'm
Okay.
curious to know if this is common. Sorry, Leslie, go ahead.
I'm reporting for duty on this one. You know, I work
Okay.
with lots and lots and lots of frontline customer service agents,
Yes.
and this is incredibly common. The
Okay.
inflated diction is common, but the first real paragraph, we at this company endeavor to provide our clients this. Honestly, I'm going to reach over and tap my heart here because this is
Yeah.
so common. When the customer complains, you had a problem with X, you failed with X. The company writes back and says, we've tried very hard not to fail with X. This is very common. When
Okay.
when a customer complains and says to the airline, my in-flight entertainment was broken. I couldn't watch a movie. The airline responds, here at ABC Airlines, we go to great lengths to make sure that the in-flight entertainment systems are working.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
care, right? The
Well,
customer
I
at that
don't I
point
don't
don't
believe
care.
you. I don't
Right.
believe you.
You didn't do enough,
Right.
obviously.
Right. It was
I want
broken when I was
apologies,
there.
Rena says. Yeah, I'm with you,
Mhm.
Rena. I'm with you. And
That's
part
right.
of an apology is the taking responsibility. There's no acknowledgement of the offense.
Mhm.
That's very true, because the one place where that might have happened, it doesn't happen in the first sentence with the apologize. It doesn't happen in the third paragraph with I am sorry, our reply could not be more favorable. That is not
Mhm.
acknowledging an offense.
Right. This is also extremely common. And I think that sentence can be used well if you use it, if you use better words, which is the
Yeah.
funniest
Okay.
thing I think I've ever said on Fix This Writing. But
Words matter.
words matter. So that sentence is a good one if you can write it more naturally and not so artificially. And in this case, you would say, I can offer you $100 US voucher. I
Yeah,
know this isn't the answer you were looking for. That's
yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
okay to write
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes. I
Yes.
like Starshine says, it must have been so frustrating for you to arrive and not be able to take the car. Exactly. The
Yes.
specific thing that happened, the
Yes.
specific offense that hurt the recipient, that really has to be acknowledged. You
However, Starshine has switched from apology to empathy. And
Yes.
I'm not criticizing that in any
No.
way, but good writers, especially in this line of work, can
Yeah.
do both.
Yes,
And they
exactly.
know when to switch. And in this case, empathy would probably be far more satisfying. It would be almost like back rub worthy
Yes.
satisfying if we got more
Compared to,
empathy.
yeah, compared to
Mhm.
what we get. Right,
Right,
exactly.
right. Well, are you ready for me to show the fix, Kim? Would you like?
Let's do it, and we'll let the audience weigh in on what they think.
Okay, here's Kim's fixed version.
So I began by apologizing for the inconvenience. So I tried to kind of stay with the original and make minimal repairs.
Mhm.
I started with I apologize. Very important, I think, to use the word I apologize. Sorry is fine, but sorry means empathy, or it's ambiguous as an apology. So I think apology is a really important choice. And then the next sentence begins because we, so here the company's taking responsibility because we did not clearly communicate the requirement that the name given when reserving a car must match the name on the driver's license presented at pickup. So that's what they did wrong,
Mhm.
right? Or they didn't do it wrong, but from the customer's perspective, that's what injured the customer, right?
Mhm.
That's what caused the suffering. And then the rest of that very long sentences: we have provided you with $100 voucher which you can use towards your next rental. But I made sure that the I apologize first, happened, and that the acknowledgement of what went wrong, their responsibility also was stated before saying that here's a voucher. And then whatever it was that they were trying to say in the original about trying to do a good job with customer service, um, I did reword it in simpler terms. So we want to provide our Mary, thank you. I'm happy. She said she'll give us another try. We want to provide our clients with the best customer service experience possible. We have taken steps to prevent this miscommunication in the future. This also makes me feel good. It's like, okay, this is not just me as a customer being unreasonable. I'll bet other people also have had this same problem. So the company recognizing that, there's something in our process that doesn't work quite right. We need to do better at that in the future. And then I hope you'll use your voucher and give us another chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So much better tone.
Mhm.
I think because at the beginning it's clear it is an apology and they're recognizing what their role was in the nasty event.
Indeed. Yeah, I if there's a humanity scale, I feel the humanity scale going up like this, This sounds like a real person and a company that cares actually wrote it. And I love your confidence, Kim, because the sentence, I hope you'll use your voucher and give us another chance to provide you with excellent service. This is really confident because, of course, the voucher is given in response to a gigantic mistake or an
Yes.
aggravating mistake.
Yeah.
And I love that. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to help. Even the closing sounds
Yeah.
sincere.
Yeah.
Um, the companies I've worked with would have cardiac arrest and fall on the ground in the road to write the sentence you wrote starting with the word because. Absolutely
Really?
not. They would
Really?
never
You
do
can't
that.
say that, huh?
No, they would never do that because they possibly did communicate it. And
Uh,
if it's in the terms and conditions, they think they communicated it.
okay.
So
Okay.
we need another sentence for the
Okay.
one that begins with because. And I would switch to empathy, you know.
Okay.
And I would write something like, I can imagine it was an unwelcome surprise when you were there at the counter trying to process the
Okay.
rental, that the mismatch of the name on the rental agreement and the name on the driver's license prevented it,
Okay.
but they wouldn't say we did not communicate clearly unless it was so minor, as in, the label on your product had gotten, the ink had run and there was a
Right.
miscommunication there. They just
Okay.
wouldn't. They would faint from liability fear right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but this causes an interesting, I believe you totally. You're the one who works in this space and who talks to both customer service reps
Mhm.
and their management often.
Mhm.
But my response as a researcher who's read zillions of studies on apologies
Mm.
tells me that without naming your wrong, it's
Mhm.
not an apology.
Well, then they have to pick a safer wrong they
Okay.
can apologize
Okay.
for, and what they might do is load some more detail into the first sentence.
Okay.
We could move what I said into the first sentence. I
Okay.
apologize for the inconvenience you experienced, and we can make that more specific. I
Okay.
apologize for the delay and the frustrating interaction you had when you were trying to book your
Okay.
rental car and
Okay.
discovered our requirement that the name match exactly with
Okay.
the rental agreement. So they wouldn't apologize unless there was a giant error, but they wouldn't
Okay.
apologize that their policy wasn't clear enough. But they could apologize a load that they hadn't, that the person had a bad time at at the counter, with the paperwork. Yeah,
Okay. I'm
with
interested. So would Starshine's suggestion work?
indeed,
Can you
yes.
call it a miscommunication?
Yes, and the most open-minded of them would be willing to do that. The most
Okay.
hinky and risk averse wouldn't.
Would not. Okay.
Yeah, right. But look
Interesting.
what Starshine did. Ensuring easy pickup is a point of pride for us. That's
Yes.
borderline. We work
Yeah.
very hard to make sure the
Right.
in-flight entertainment is working, but then she rescued herself. We've learned
Right.
from your experience.
Yeah. That we
It
need
I
to do.
wouldn't think it's over apologizing. Kim, what do you
No.
think?
Mm-mm, I don't think so either. It doesn't
Mhm,
seem over the top to me. What's Christopher
mhm.
say? Researchers say people are less likely to sue if the apology is specific, sincere, and timely. Yes,
Yes,
exactly. Yes,
yes.
exactly. And
Now
my question is, so if is the line between the being specific and the ownership of what happened? Because in an apology, you can't apologize for somebody else's feelings. You can't apologize for frustration. You know what I mean? You can only apologize for what you've done.
You can apologize for frustration. I think you personally, in the way you're describing the difference between apology and saying I'm sorry, you're possibly too smart. And
No one
I
ever tells me that.
I do, except me, right? You may be too subtle. You can
Okay.
apologize for frustrating them if you want, but there's one
Okay.
commodity that we don't have access to that would help the person who's writing this apology craft it successfully,
Okay.
and that is the incoming complaint. Because
Right.
one of the best techniques is, get your shovel out and dig
Yes.
through the complaint. Use the
Yes.
words they used when you
Yes.
apologize. If
This
there's
is
something in there, you know.
absolutely. And
Mhm,
much research supports that that's called empathy. I mean, well, it's
mhm,
called rapport. So you
mhm,
build rapport with people by mirroring, and
mhm.
that can be done with the words that they used. So you're absolutely right.
Right.
That would be even more helpful.
Right, and if they said, I lost 3 hours of my very short vacation as I was trying to problem solve here, then
Yeah.
you can mention the 3 hours. You can
Right.
apologize for that
Right.
easily,
Okay.
but you need the incoming email to see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Super cool,
Interesting.
everyone. Who else wants to Oh, Kim, we gotta go
Yes.
back. We
What?
gotta go back. We have the big question. Our time is running
Oh,
short, but we have
why?
the big question.
Why? Why? Why?
Right. Look, no, look.
Yeah.
How would you convince scientists and
Oh,
engineers?
yes.
Remember, the
Yes.
use of plain language is not a threat to their professionalism. You go ahead, and when
Okay.
you're done, I'll go ahead.
So this is a question that is near and dear to my heart because I mostly work with STEM folks, um, techie industry folks. The the bottom line is research tells us, and that we're talking about many hundreds of people have been involved. The recipient of a message judges the professionalism of someone by how concise they are, not by how long winded they are. So the more you say and the bigger the words, jargon is also a turnoff to people. They don't assume that the person with the most knowledge uses the most jargon. They think jargon is something that weaker people hide behind. So that tells me that speaking in plain language actually helps people perceive your expertise in a way that being longer winded or using only technical terms does not.
Mhm.
Of course, it
Ex-
depends on your audience, right? If you're talking
Indeed.
to another engineer, you need to use the words the engineer expects you to use. But
That's right.
if it's not an engineer, that's what I was thinking about was plain language for if you're talking to someone who's not at your level of expertise in a particular area. What's super important is that you speak to them.
Indeed. Yes, I love the respect implied and embedded in what you said. Um, I would convince scientists and engineers that the use of plain languages are not a threat to their professionalism when they are displaying their professionalism for other professionals.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you're displaying your
Yeah.
professionalism or you're communicating to people whose professional credentials are identical to yours, your
Right.
language needn't be what we would refer to as plain. You share a technical vocabulary. You have the same bottomless appetite for data as each other.
Yeah.
The use of plain language is not a threat or necessary when you're
Right.
communicating with people who are identical to you. But even if you're communicating, and then let's say you're a geophysicist and you're communicating to a meteorologist, you're both equally sophisticated. Your level of technical expertise is comparable, but your expertise is different. And
Mhm.
in that case, you will have to adjust your language so this other highly sophisticated technical professional will understand and care about what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kim, we have talked about this before, but oh my God, we are carrying that word plain in plain language.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned once when we were talking about this, one of the groups I've worked with at CDC, in its effort to stop having this conversation with scientists and engineers, has stopped using the term plain language.
Ah.
They will only
Interesting.
call it clear language
Ah.
because they're like,
Okay.
not fighting
Yeah.
this fight again, fought
Yes.
this fight for 25 years, sick
Right.
of it. And it's a throwdown. It's like, I
Yeah.
dare you. Don't be plain. Don't
Yeah.
be clear. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Don't be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
So I think that we want to be sure that people understand that a slight adjustment in the way they communicate is a matter of respect for the reader.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. If you want to communicate a message, which why else would you spend time on it? If you really want to communicate, then you have to think about who your reader is.
indeed. There's the co in communicate, right? There's
That's
the
it.
co.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
indeed. All right, dear friends. Well, we're so glad you joined us today. All of you who are literally friends, and all of you who have become friends because you've joined us. We will have another Fix This Writing session in November, date to be announced.
Yes.
Kim, this was a wonderful sample. Thank you so much for picking it. And didn't
Thank
we
you.
have a great conversation here today?
We did
Yeah,
absolutely. And I want to
yeah.
make sure our audience knows if you reach out to me or to Leslie, we will happily take your examples and spend some time on them.
That's right. That's right. If you send us an example, we're about to talk about it on Fix This
Yeah.
Writing in a positive way, in a
Yes.
productive and helpful
Yes.
way. Yeah, we're not
Yes.
about to rip you up. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. And
Have a
start,
great day.
yep. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.